All right, deep divers. Buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into the wild world of crypto again. But this time, we're adding another layer to the equation: politics.
Ooh, yeah. This is where things get interesting.
That's right. We're talking regulations, opinions, and some seriously surprising voices that are shaping the future of your digital dollars.
It's a roller coaster out there.
And for this deep dive, we're tapping into the expert analysis of Dennis Frank over at CryptoKraken.com.
He's got some great insights.
Absolutely. Now, anyone who's even glanced at a crypto chart knows it's a wild ride. So before we bring in the political drama, what's the deal with these crypto price swings? What are the major players in this game?
Right. Well, it's this fascinating mix of, well, forces. One of the biggest is just plain old market sentiment, like the hopes and fears of, everyone in the crypto sphere.
Basically the mood of the masses.
Exactly. Remember that whole Dogecoin thing when Elon Musk was tweeting about it and the price went bonkers? That's pure market sentiment. A single tweet, positive or negative, can make or break a coin, especially in the short term.
Right. It's about the tech, sure, but maybe even more so, it's about the story surrounding it.
Exactly.
But it's not all hype and tweets, right? Real-world events have skin in the game too, don't they?
For sure. I mean, governments are still trying to figure out this whole crypto thing. Regulations or even just rumors of them can send shockwaves through the market.
That makes sense. It's like the Wild West out there. A little stability goes a long way.
Totally. Remember when Japan embraced Bitcoin early on, made it legal tender? That was huge for legitimizing crypto in the eyes of many. But on the other hand, if regulations are unclear or, too strict, it scares investors away. And that can stifle innovation too.
Right, because companies need some degree of certainty to innovate and thrive. They can't operate in a constant state of flux. But even beyond the hype and the regulations, there's a third piece to the puzzle, that constantly evolving technology at the heart of it all.
Oh, yeah.
Decentralized finance, DeFi. For those who haven't wrapped their heads around it yet, give us the lowdown. What's the big deal?
Okay, so imagine a whole financial system, right? But instead of banks and institutions calling the shots, it's all built on the blockchain. That's DeFi's goal: to cut out the middlemen, potentially reduce fees, and make finance more accessible.
So it's not just about the currency itself, it's about reinventing the entire financial system from the ground up.
Exactly. It's like rebuilding the financial system with code. It's a radical idea. And whether it succeeds or not, well, that's a story for another time.
It's a lot to process. We've got market sentiment ebbing and flowing like the tide, government struggling to catch up, and the technology itself constantly shifting beneath our feet. That's a recipe for some serious volatility.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, now we've got former President Trump stepping into the ring, weighing in on crypto regulation. And let me tell you, he's not holding back.
Okay, now that's interesting. Trump's take on crypto regulation, we've got to unpack that. Let's dive into his stance and what it could mean for the future of digital currencies, especially here in the U.S., right after a quick break. Okay, so former President Trump jumping into the crypto debate, definitely not something you see every day. What's his take? What's he saying?
Yeah, he's not exactly known for holding back, is he? He's been pretty vocal, criticizing the SEC, their whole approach to regulating crypto.
Too hands-on.
Yeah, thinks it's way too restrictive. He's worried that all these rules, these regulations, are going to stifle innovation, push development, and those high-paying tech jobs overseas to countries that are a bit more, shall we say, crypto-friendly.
So it's this balancing act, right, between protecting investors, especially the newbies, the ones just dipping their toes into the crypto water, and not stifling the growth of this whole new industry.
Exactly. It's a tough one. How do you foster innovation without letting the Wild West run wild? It's a question governments everywhere are grappling with. And, Trump's comments, they highlight that tension. Whether it'll actually change anything, well, that's a different story. But it's got people talking, that's for sure.
And in the meantime, while the regulators and the politicians are figuring things out, some companies aren't waiting around.
Nope.
World Liberty Financial, for example, they're taking a different approach, targeting accredited investors.
Interesting move.
Very interesting. Before we unpack that, though, for our listeners who might not be familiar, what makes someone an accredited investor? What are we talking about here?
It's basically a way for regulators to say, hey, this investor, they've got more experience, more money to play with, higher net worth, higher income.
So more skin in the game.
Exactly. They can handle a bit more risk. We're talking a net worth over $1 million, not including your primary residence, or an annual income north of $200,000. So, yeah, not exactly your average Joe checking their portfolio on their phone.
Right. So World Liberty Financial, they're zeroing in on this demographic. What's the strategy there? What do you think it means for the bigger picture?
Well, for one, it could be a sign that the market's maturing.
Moving beyond the early adopters, the hardcore crypto enthusiasts.
Exactly. When you see big players like World Liberty Financial, with their history in traditional finance, dipping their toes deeper into the crypto pool, it says something. It says they see potential, long-term potential, maybe even a shift toward mainstream acceptance.
It has legitimacy, right? Especially with those who still think crypto is this shady, fly-by-night thing.
100%. And that ties into another point, credibility. When a project has the backing of these experienced, often very wealthy investors, it just feels more trustworthy, more stable.
It's like getting a 5-star review from the financial elite.
Right. And then there's the money itself. That influx of cash from accredited investors, that could fuel a whole new wave of growth, a new wave of innovation in the crypto space.
So while the regulators try to set up the guardrails, some are already building the next generation of crypto rockets.
It's true. And speaking of potentially game-changing moves, have you heard about this recent filing for an XRP ETF? Could be huge.
Okay, so we're talking XRP ETFs now. Now, deep divers are no strangers to the ETF game. We saw what happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but for those tuning in for the first time, break it down. What's all the fuss about? And why is this XRP news so significant?
You're right. ETFs, they're old news in the traditional finance world. But in the crypto sphere, they're like a bridge. They connect Wall Street to the Wild West of digital currencies. See, an ETF, an exchange-traded fund, lets you invest in a basket of assets, in this case, cryptocurrencies, and trade them on stock exchanges, just like regular stocks.
So for those who aren't quite ready to dive into the technical side of buying and storing crypto directly, an ETF offers a more familiar, a more regulated way in.
Exactly. Plus, and this is important, to get a crypto ETF approved, you got to go through a lot of regulatory scrutiny. When the government gives the green light, they're basically saying, okay, crypto, we see you, and we think you're ready for the big leagues.
It's a stamp of approval that goes a long way.
Big time. And that increased confidence, that could bring in a flood of institutional money, which can really shake up the market.
Speaking of shaking things up, this XRP ETF, this is different.
Right. Because if it's approved, and that's a big if, of course it would be the first time an altcoin, something that's not Bitcoin or Ethereum, would be available on a major U.S. exchange through an ETF.
That first mover advantage in the world of crypto, that's everything.
It could have a huge impact on XRP's price, its whole position in the market, and it could open the door for other altcoins to follow suit.
So a lot to unpack there. We've got volatile markets, political posturing, the rise of DeFi, and now this potential game changer with the XRP ETF. What a time to be following crypto, huh?
It's never dull, that's for sure.
That's one way to put it. So for our deep divers out there, the ones riding this wave with us, what's the key takeaway? What should they be paying attention to?
Well, I think the main thing is this. Cryptocurrency, it's becoming more and more intertwined with the traditional financial system every day. It's not this niche experiment anymore. To really navigate this space, to make informed decisions, you have to understand the forces at play. The tech, the regulations, the political noise, it all matters.
Knowledge is power, my friends, especially in the fast-paced world of crypto.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, so we're talking XRP ETFs now. Now, deep divers are no strangers to the ETF game. We saw what happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But for those tuning in for the first time, break it down for us. What's all the fuss about, and why is this XRP news so significant?
Yeah, you're right. ETFs themselves aren't new. I mean, they've been around in the traditional finance world forever.
Right.
But when it comes to crypto, they're kind of like a bridge, connecting the old school Wall Street types to this new frontier of digital assets. Basically, an ETF or exchange-traded fund lets you invest in a basket of assets, in this case cryptocurrencies, and you can trade them on stock exchanges, just like, regular stocks.
So for those who maybe aren't ready to set up a crypto wallet and navigate all the technical stuff, an ETF offers a simpler, more, regulated way to get in on the action.
Exactly. And this is a big one. The approval process for a crypto ETF, it's no walk in the park. You've got to jump through hoops, lots of regulatory scrutiny. So when the government finally gives that green light, They're basically saying, okay, crypto, we see you. We're taking you seriously now. You're ready for the big leagues.
It's a stamp of approval. And in a market like crypto, that can make all the difference.
Huge difference. And you know what that increased confidence brings? More investors. Big institutions with deep pockets. And that can really impact the market in a big way. Remember what happened with Bitcoin after its ETF got approved?
The floodgates opened.
Exactly. Now, this recent filing by Bitwise for an XRP ETF, this is interesting because if it gets approved, that's a big if, of course, it would be the first time an altcoin, something that's not Bitcoin or Ethereum, would be available on a major U.S. exchange through an ETF.
It'd be a game changer.
Potentially, yeah.
That first mover advantage, especially in the fast-paced world of crypto, that's huge.
Huge. I mean, we could see a significant impact on XRP's price, its overall position in the market. Plus, it could open the floodgates, so to speak, for other altcoins to follow suit. It's like setting a precedent.
Right. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the inherent volatility of the crypto market, the politics and regulations swirling around it, the rise of Defi, and now this potential bombshell with the XRP ETF. It's a lot to digest.
It is, and it's all happening so fast. It's a fascinating space to watch, that's for sure.
To say the least. So, as we wrap up, what's the key takeaway for our deep divers out there, the ones riding this wave with us? What's the most important thing to remember as they navigate this ever-changing landscape?
Well, I think the main thing is this. Cryptocurrency, it's not some fringe experiment anymore. It's becoming more and more intertwined with our everyday lives, with the global financial system.
It's not just going away.
Exactly. So, burying your head in the sand, it's not a strategy. To really thrive in this space, to make informed decisions, you have to understand how it all works. The tech, the regulations, the political landscape, the whole 9 yards.
Knowledge is power, my friends, especially in a world where things can change at the drop of a tweet.
You got that right.
Deep divers, that's a wrap on today's exploration of crypto, politics, and the future of finance. A huge thank you to Dennis Frank for his insightful analysis, and a special shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for joining us on this wild ride. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on diving deep into the fascinating world of crypto.